Welcome back to Lawyers, Guns, and Money. I'm David Houston.
And I'm Scott Freeman. We're pleased to have as our guest the Churchill County Chief Deputy District Attorney Tom Stockard, who is a candidate for District Court Judge in the 3rd Judicial District.
Tom, when we were closing out our last segment, I asked you about what do you consider to be the primary character traits or traits of a good judge, and how do you match up to those traits?
You know, one of the things that I think makes me unique as a candidate is I'm one of the permanent members. I'm one of 3 lawyers in the state that's a permanent member to the Judicial Selection Commission.
Tell us what that is.
It's a commission that when there's a vacancy, not during a election process, that reviews the resumes of judges and applications of potential judges. We then meet, and we've recently opened up the process to the public, and we interview all the candidates. We're tasked with the responsibility then of submitting the 3 top candidates to the governor, who then appoints. And during that time, I've had an opportunity to sit many times in Vegas, Carson City, Reno, and we've interviewed many judges, and so I have seen some wonderful traits that I think that I have too. Obviously, we've talked about hardworking. We've done cases together, we've done cases against each other. I think you know I'm always prepared. I'm up to speed on what the law is and what it requires. But I think a judge has to do more than that. They have to be compassionate. They have to be willing to listen to those who appear in front of them. And even when you're going to rule against someone, I think maybe more important than winning, people want to be listened to. Mm-hmm. And they want at least to have their arguments considered. Mm-hmm. And whether that's in a criminal case, we've talked a little bit about civil cases, family law cases, there's also a real growing area of the law with the aging of our population, with guardianships and the whole era of, or the whole gamut of elder law issues that are going to come before our judges. One of the other challenges that we're facing, and we talked about some of the innovations in other counties, mental health court. There's not a lot of people that need that, but there are resources that in the rural counties we need to marshal to make sure that those who have those needs have them met through, you know, different types of mental health things. Judge Breen has done a great job here in Washoe County on that.
Well, another aspect you've had experience with, Tom, is juvenile law. Tell us a little about that and what you bring to the table with respect to that experience.
In the 3rd Judicial District, we have masters who are appointed. They're non-lawyers. The municipal court judge in Fallon does it in Churchill County, and former juvenile probation officer. They make recommendations to the court. But ultimately, each juvenile will come before the court, and we have to try to find a way to get them out of the system. Mm-hmm. And these are, they face all different kinds of challenges. Sometimes it's substance abuse, sometimes it's challenges at home. And I think the court can play a very active role, much more active in a juvenile setting than, say, in an adult setting, to try to get those kids, make sure they have an education, they have the type of basis that they need so that they can go on to be successful members of our society.
Mm-hmm. You know, Tom, and one of the things when we were talking about the best type of character traits, one you didn't mention about yourself, but one that I think is very important for your recognition, is the fact that you're regarded as a very honest and straightforward person. And I know it's kind of hard to be on the spot, you're on a show, and you have some host say, hey, tell me about all your best traits, but coming from me to you, having known you for decades, the idea of being able to honestly look at a problem, and I say that from the standpoint of being an adversary of yours as well, you're correct. To me, the most important thing a judge can do is listen and be fair, because it isn't always going to work out in your favor, regardless of how right you may think you are. And a judge who listens and then tells you what he's going to do and why, or what she's going to do and why, is so important, and you have that trait. And so, you know, certainly we wish you the very best as far as your quest to become a judge, because I think you're remarkably well suited for it. The obvious is true. You have the experience, and you not only have that, but you have the integrity that's needed for the job.
Is that a question?
I think that was an editorial comment.
Well, I feel the same way. But I was going to say, Tom, under the circumstances, you're also in a very unique position, because there's been some outcry, if you will, for the difference between elected judges and appointed judges. And one aspect of your resume, which I find fascinating, is that you are on both ends in the following way. You're on the Judicial Selection Committee, which selects 3 candidates to be appointed, not be elected. And now, because of the way our system is set up, You've had the opportunity to observe that experience, and you decided to run for election. So you've got the appointed versus the elected. What's your opinion on that type of selection process?
You know, the Article 6 Commission, which was recently came out with their recommendation. Article 6 refers to the section of the Constitution that they're proposing to amend to change the selection process. They recently voted to recommend to the legislature that they repass the legislation that they had passed in the previous legislative session. If that happens in the next legislative session, it will then go to the voters, I believe, in 2010. And I think it's a decision that is well left to our legislators and the voters. Either way, the voters will continue to have a say, whether it's an up or down vote on a retention vote or whether the proposed legislation is rejected, then they'll just continue to elect judges.
Right.
I can tell you that having run for office, or in the process of running for office, it's a very invigorating process. I've met some wonderful people, not always who agree with me, but it's been a very healthy process for me as a candidate, and if I'm fortunate enough to be successful as a judge, I think it will be a good process to have gone through.
Mm-hmm. Tom, as you look forward to the idea of being a judge, I mean, what do you see as the greatest challenges ahead of you as a judge in Lyon and Churchill?
One of the challenges we face, and because we are the third largest judicial district in the state, we have two very, very busy courts. In Lyon County, it's in Garrington, and in Churchill County, it's in Fallon. And so you spend a lot of time on the road, but you have to still get, you have a full day's work, you know.
Right.
I live in Fallon now, but I plan on being in Garrington every day. I think what I will do is we're going to have court sometimes after 5, like we have at times in Washoe County when I was there. If there's a jury trial during the day, we might do a settlement conference in the evening to accommodate parties and make sure we can keep cases moving. That is something that I think, obviously, with the growth of those counties, that the legislature is seriously looking at what their options are, because there's no other county, no other judicial district that has 2 counties that's nearly close to us in size.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Which means a lot of work to be done because of that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you consider the dedication as far as how much time this is going to take, I mean, do you have, what drives you forward? What's your individual incentive that makes you want to contribute? And I know we only got a minute left in this segment.
You know, one of the things that I like most about being in the district attorney's office is every time I get a file, I look at it, and the only thing I have to decide is what's the right thing. You know, it's a contrast a little bit to when I was in private practice, when your client comes in and your duty is to represent them zealously. You know, as a district attorney, we always win when justice is done.
Right.
I think as a judge, you even get to take that to a further level, because you truly are only motivated by what is right and what is just. And so that is really what's motivating me in my run for this office, is trying to bring justice to the people of Lyon and Churchill County.
And from your vast experience on both sides of the fence.
Yeah.
Very much so. Got to go break. We'll be back right here on Lawyers Guns and Money with Churchill County Chief Deputy District Attorney Tom Stockard. Stay with us.
Don't go away.